Hey everybody, Greg Epstein here, Executive Director of the Humanist Hub and Humanist Chaplain at Harvard. And tomorrow is Openly Secular Day. Friday, October 20th, is a national day called Openly Secular where humanists, atheists, agnostics, the non-religious, and all of our allies get together and we are openly secular. You know that it's still too hard for so many of us to be openly non-religious, openly atheist or agnostic in this country. And Openly Secular Day is an opportunity for us to be open about who we are, to talk with our friends and neighbors about what it means to us to be secular, to be non-religious people, and to learn more about our religious friends in a different, maybe safer way, and to have them learn about us in a different and safer way. So if you go to openlysecular.org, you can see that there's a lot of different activities that the Secular Coalition for America, our friends in Washington, D.C., are recommending that you participate in. I'm going to be participating myself in some interfaith activities. I know a lot of our Harvard humanist and atheist agnostic students are going to be doing that as well. And so check it out. We encourage all of our Humanist Hub members to think about doing something for an important day for humanists. And also, you're more than welcome to join us this Sunday. We've got great programs, including speakers like Catherine Oseman and Kate Fagan, who are going to be talking about different aspects of the humanist and the human experience. And so if you're looking for something to do for yourself as an openly secular person, come get involved in our community. Check us out at humanisthub.org. Now, we have a special message that we wanted to give you for this day, an opportunity to reflect on maybe what the meaning, the significance of a day like today might be. And that's going to be presented in a moment by Nina Litton, who is the student minister, if that's not a contradiction in terms, at the Humanist Hub. She is studying to be a humanist chaplain. She's a student in divinity school and has an amazing set of experiences, a great background to share with you. And we thought it'd be cool to have her first sort of online reflection be about what it is to be openly secular. So thanks for tuning in, and here's Nina.
Hey, thank you, Greg, and hey out there, everybody. I am so pleased to be here speaking with you because it means a lot to me to be able to be openly secular. I grew up secular, but it was not open. My parents were, I guess you could call them, secretly secular, and I had a wonderful childhood of connecting with nature and the world around me. I was supported by my parents and my grandmother, being outside almost all the time. I looked at every leaf and twig and brought home every flower and feather and shell. My mom and I used to walk along stream beds looking for fossils and hoping that someday we'd get to go from Montreal to New York City to see a dinosaur skeleton. And then my grandmothers found out about this and made my parents feel super guilty, and we began to discuss the relative merits of the Lutherans and the Presbyterians. And after much discussion, it was agreed that I would attend Presbyterian Sunday school every Sunday, and I would go to the Lutherans with Nana on Christmas and Easter. And I was game for this. I didn't know what was going to happen, but on my first day of Sunday school, the teacher had no answer for my question, which was, how did Noah get the dinos into the ark? And the second Sunday I asked, where were the Greco-Roman gods in the book of Romans? And things went downhill. I was promoted to church, where at the age of 7, I could not see over the people, and my feet swung in the air. And I was lonely and bored, actually, to be honest. So I really craved the company of one of my creatures. And so the next week, without telling anyone, because I had the kind of feeling that my dad would not be down with this, I smuggled my garter snake Herman out of his terrarium. I secreted him in the pocket of my purple coat, not proud of this now, but I took him with me to church. And all was well until the organist came out, sat down, and lifted her fingers onto the keyboard. there was an explosion of sound and an explosion of Herman out of my coat pocket. He streaked diagonally through the congregation and into the choir, and chaos reigned. And afterwards, the minister would not let me look for Herman, and long story short, that was the last day of our family's 6-week stint among the Presbyterians, and it was also the last time I ever saw Herman again. It was also the last time I ever captured a wild animal and concealed it from my dad in the bedroom. That was not down with Dad. He believed that all creatures have a right to their own life, and that included me. That was the end of Presbyterianism, and when we continued on with the Lutherans on Christmas and Easter, it was out of love for Nana and respect for her friends. When the Lutheran minister said that we were all sinners, Dad said that this wasn't true, that the way to organize your life was around two things: the relationships and reason. And that's what we did. Ours was not a sinning household. When we made mistakes, we owned up to them, made good if we could, and then we tried to do better. And reason and relationship worked pretty well for us. Fast forwarding a couple of years, now I'm about 14, Mom's now encouraging me to take the train from our little tiny town by the river across from the Mohawk Reservation all the way into downtown Montreal to see what it would be like taking the train with a summer job. And I said I would, and my dad met me for lunch that day at this Montreal hotspot, Ben's Delicatessen, where the smoked meat is heavenly. I encourage you to go. And a man came over to us, and he grabbed my dad by the hand and took him by the shoulder and said, "Oh, Dan, thanks. I really appreciated you sorting that out for me. You are the best Christian I know." And my heart still stops when I think about this. I knew this was not true. My dad was not a Christian at all. He had owned up after the incident of Herman that he actually had entered college at MIT. He came in as a Lutheran, but he went out as an atheist and a humanist. And I was puzzled. I was silent. I wondered, what's he going to say? So Dad said, "Thanks, Ben. I'm going to go right home and call my mother. She will be so happy to hear this compliment. It's going to make her day." And indeed it did. Nana was tickled pink to learn that my dad was publicly considered to be the best Christian in town. And then, deja vu all over again. Something similar happened to me last week. I was bidding goodbye to a friend and another gentleman from Uganda who were here at MIT for a conference on education. And the gentleman who was new to me, who I'll call Saint Kizito, after the famous Saint Kizito of Uganda, he said, "It was such a delight to be hosted by a real Christian, really living his values." And I stopped, and I gathered my aloha about me, and I said, "Thank you for the compliment. I am so pleased to hear that you can see that I'm living my values. And the next time you're in Boston, I would love for you to come with me to the Humanist Hub, where we come to our conclusions a bit differently than you do, but we share the big idea of putting our values into motion." And this brings me here to what I wanted to say to you about why it is that Openly Secular Day is important, and what you and I and all of us can do. Earlier this fall, Greg challenged our community to consider what he calls a transition in the humanist movement. The moment in the movement is to say it is not enough to be anti-something. We need to be for all of us. And that made a lot of sense to me, and I'm hoping that you'll reflect on that and it'll make a lot of sense to you. Greg challenged us to step up to bettering the world for all. And that means stepping across lines. If we want to better the world as humanists through our reason and our compassion, we need to be in relationship not only with other people, but also with other institutions. So if you think about this for a nanosecond or two, you'll know, like, this is the description of interfaith work. And that is new for humanism, and I personally have found it difficult for 3 reasons that I'll share, and 3 reasons that you, by participating in Openly Secular Day, can help us to overcome. First, in my observation, many people of faith do not know that we humanists exist. Number 2, they don't know what we stand for. And number 3, they're not aware that we have morally charged institutions as they do, and that we can engage not only on an individual basis, but also at the, arm in arm as institutions. And to communicate this, that really starts with you and me and all of us. On Openly Secular Day, I'm encouraging you to communicate what humanists do believe, and to do so with reason and compassion, and to do so with people and institutions of faith. And here's how I propose that it's possible. I'd like to invite you to articulate the principles that guide your own life, like your personal philosophy, or if you're a sassball, you could call it your atheology. Here's what I say the 3 questions are. Number 1, what do I know is true? Number 2, what do I believe is right? And number 3, how am I walking this forward into action in my life? So we'll walk through this together, and I'll give an example. Number 1, as a non-theist, how do you know what's true? For me, it's pretty simple. It boils down to the process of exploration and experimentation that's evaluated and reasoned through in the company of other scientists. I'm describing the scientific method. That's how I know that the sky is blue. But now, a more difficult question. How do you and I, as humanists, how do we know what's right? Well, speaking personally, my ethos is regarded in compassion for self and others and our natural environment. And I use my feelings that I explore through conversations and relationships. Remember, I like to reason in relationship, and that's what guides me toward an articulation of what I believe is right. And then finally, how do you and I and us act on our values? I believe it is vital not to be like a lone wolf, but to join together and support openly secular institutions. And so I echo Greg's invitation to join us here at the Humanist Hub. We're here in Harvard Square and live streaming on Facebook every Sunday at 1:30 Eastern Time, and we hope that you join us. We're an inclusive community of atheists, agnostics, and allies, and we're creating a new model for how humanists celebrate life, act to promote reason and compassion, and evolve in the direction of a better world for all. And what I would like to end by challenging you to do, and I, is to what I'm calling claim our good. We claim our good when we come out as open seculars and we support open secular institutions. And without sacrificing our integrity, we open seculars can and should enter into relationships with people and institutions of faith. We have hope, we have faith, and we act with our own way of defining these words. For example, let's take love for fellow humans. I have faith in that. I have trust in the wisdom of humanist ancestors. I have awe and reverence at the wonder, beauty, and interconnectedness of the universe and our natural world. And I feel a heartfelt pull to justice and sustainability. I do. And when we bring out the best in ourselves and others, we are not just tribal primates on Twitter. We become Homo sapiens. So let's get together, let's get our wisdom on, and let's be openly secular. Thank you.